Hello, good morning to everyone. I hope you are well. I'm just going to make sure that we are on all the streams and platforms that we should be. So I'm just going to click a few buttons and then I'm going to say hello to you and get on with making a lovely little necklace today. Let me save that. Fingers crossed, all is working okay, sounds okay, and whatnot. So, how are you doing today? You okay? I'm going to be making some very simple, very delicate, dainty little necklaces. I've called it Cordelia, and we're going to be using lovely little heart charms. I don't think I've used these hearts before. It's the joy of when you go down to the warehouse, you just find all these little beauties that you didn't know existed. So I'm going to be showing you how to do some wrapped loops and turned loops today, and we're just going to add it onto a lovely little chain. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pretty little colours for you, as a nice easy make. So first and foremost, what's the weather like here? It was nice and bright. I've got a sunny dress on today. It's got pockets, so I'm a happy bunny. Doesn't take much to make me happy. Jewellery, beads, and pockets. So yeah, weather's okay here. It is fairly blue sky. Sometimes it's going a little bit overcast, a little bit breezy, but it's not raining, so that's the main thing. Jan says good morning, and it's sunny in Sudbury. Rachel's in a warm, bright, sunny Barrow as well, which is lovely. Zakia is in. She says hi, Natalie. Jolly good morning to you and everybody. Jan's in as well. She says I love these necklaces. The link is for the Mallory bracelet. Oh, is it? Like Cordelia. I'll show you how to find them on the website. We'll see if we can amend that afterwards. Don't think I can change it afterwards. I did notice Katie did a live the other week, and that seemed to have the wrong link on as well. So we'll get that amended and changed up as soon as possible. You can usually see the description of what you need in the just underneath here somewhere if you're watching on YouTube, but we'll get that amended for you. Thanks for letting me know. Good morning to Elaine. Good morning to Mina. Hello to Elaine. We've got Elaine Emerson and Elaine Figgin. So if you think that I'm just repeating myself, we got lots of lovely Elaines in. Good morning to Camille, who says it's still chilly. Morning, my clever friend. Thanks very much. Good morning, Mum. I hope you're all right. She's got a coffee. Oh, I haven't got one. How was your weekend, says Camille? It was okay, thank you very much. We've got a little bit of family stuff going on and ill health and things like that. But yeah, it was nice. We also went to visited family, and on Saturday my little one had like a school fair. It was torrential in the morning setting up, but by the afternoon it was quite a bright day, so it was lovely. Spent a lot of money on lovely things, just sweets and bouncy castles and things. Kath says, looking lovely and summery today. Thank you very much. Wait till you see it. I'll stand up and do you a twirl. It's pretty, it's floaty. And you know, life's short, so get your nice frocks out, get your nice jewellery on. Don't save things for best. Make the most of the here and the now. So I'm going to take you over to the website and I'm going to show you our lovely, lovely necklaces for you today. Good morning to you, Anastasia. Peace and love to you as well. So if you're wondering what we're using because the link description's wrong, head over to totallybeads.co.uk and you'll be able to find all of our wonderful tutorials. Look, these are just some of the things that we've made. And if you click into the video tutorial section here, or the one with our faces on, or in the Learn to Make Jewellery category here at the top, you can click into video tutorials. As always, we ship worldwide, so if you want to change your currency, you can do there. And you can get everything you need to make these pieces. We don't include the tools in your kit. Today, in terms of tools, I'm going to say cutters, round nose pliers, chain nose pliers. That's all you're going to need. Maybe a ruler if you want to measure out your chain. So we're going to do the Cordelia heart necklaces. And you can see we've got some pretty little pearls for you. They're cute and dainty. I'm using some little jump rings, which are 5 by 1 millimeter outer diameter, just to connect them together. And you've got those little heart drops. It's a very straightforward, very sweet little make. And there's one down there at the bottom. Don't forget that one. So they're all £5.99 for your kit. I'll show you how many you make. You don't just make one necklace in this kit. So of course, if you want to make a pair of earrings with them, or you want to make a little bracelet, you can have a little charm bracelet, you could do that as well. So we've got the French grey, the indigo blue, the light orchid, the pale olive, and we've got the Prussian blue as well. So I'll click into this one and you can have a look. This is your French grey. So I'm using glass pearl 3mm round beads, so they are small and dainty and cute. We've got a stainless steel chain for you today. I don't think the link's in this open. It's stainless steel, so it's really, really strong. And you can just use your cutters. Your cutters will work to cut through one of those links. So you can make that chain however long you want, which means you can make your necklaces sit wherever you want. Now, each kit's going to make 3 necklaces. So if you wanted to, you could have a lot more of these links and the hearts going all the way around. I've just put them at the front on the chain, just so they dangle. And you've got like a little bit of a focal point at the front of your necklace. But you can layer these up as well if you want to. You could easily hang on another little loop of those hearts and dangles. I'm pointing at the screen. You can't see where I'm pointing, but you could just hang it from that jump ring there. And I can't put the arrow on. It's just going to give me the magnifying glass. But if you watch that bit there, can you see this? You could add that extra link if you wanted, or a shorter one at the top. You could do numerous different things with this. And I do think they would make sweet little charm bracelets as well. So you're making 3 necklaces up in the kit. You've got plenty of those 3mm round pearls. They are glass beads. You've got stainless steel chain. Stainless steel, a lot of people, especially when it comes to like ear wires, when you first get your ears pierced or a piercing, a lot of people will try and upsell you a sterling silver, because they'll say, oh, well, you're less likely to react to that if it's proper gold or proper silver. Actually, surgical steel is what you would probably find better for ear wires if you have any allergies, because of course if it's surgical steel then it is used in surgeries. This is stainless steel, so it's nice and tough. It's got a kind of deeper colour to it. It's a little bit more kind of well, I've put the rhodium findings with it, so it's not as bright shiny as a silver. It's got more of kind of a rhodium finish, if that makes sense. So those little silver Tibetan hearts are going to go lovely with those findings, and you've got your ball pins and your eye pins and your lobster clasp in that matching metal. So in each of the kit, all of your findings will be exactly the same colour, and the chain will be the same metal finish as well. It's just the pearls that change colour depending on what kit you get. So this one is your French grey. If you want to add any extra bits and bobs in, you can always click on there as well. For the chain, I've said 40 centimeters per necklace. So what's that, 120 centimeters if you're making up 3? Is that right? 40, 12, yeah, I think so. Maths ain't great, not my specialty. And also you can put a little bend into the pins quite easily if you want to get a more kind of scooped look, and I'll show you how to do that too. So this one is your lovely indigo blue. Yeah, I'll say that one is indigo blue. It's like a very, a bit lilac-y, very pretty. And then we're just doing the wrap loops on the hearts, and we're doing turned loops to make those eye pins double connectors. So if you want to see exactly what colour we're using, you can just scroll down there and see products used in this kit. So £5.99 is going to make you up 3 necklaces. We've got the light orchid as well, which is, I think, what I'm going to demo for you today. It's kind of like a kind of pinkishy tone to it. Really, really pretty. It's gone really dark in here now. Again, really comfortable, lightweight wear. We've got a lovely pale olive for you too. I really like that colour. I'm thinking that one may have gone with my dress more, but my dress has got lots of different colours in. So, and then we've also got this lovely blue one for you. So all I'm doing is just adding a little pearl onto the end of those heart dangles, which will tie in with the main kind of body of that necklace. And again, if you want to make it longer, you can. If you want to make it shorter to sit higher, you can. You can pop a little extender chain on the back. If you want it adjustable, you can add more or even less of these little pins in. I've just done 5. I like to use an odd number, so we've got this sitting in the middle. But if you want to add that extra one in, again, I don't know why I'm touching the screen with my finger, you could add an extra one in, so have one of the hearts centered, and you could have 6 of the loops, kind of links rather, if you want. So lots of things to do and play about with the design, and possibilities are almost endless. You can choose to do whatever you want. These are your Cordelia heart necklaces, £5.99 for your kit, and it will make up 3. So let's have a little look. Camille says that's what money's for, to spend. Absolutely. Speaking of splurge, I want to get new tools. I really want to get myself some Tronex pliers, but I'm trying to justify the cost. And I'm like, well, I'm going to use them all the time. So I'm chatting up to my husband, and then he's saying, we need a new Hoover or vacuum cleaner. And I'm like, all right, man. It's not as fun though, is it? I'll get more use out of my pliers and my tools than I will the household appliances. But I did treat myself to some beautiful sparkles. Bought myself some gorgeous gemstones, so when I get a minute, I'm gonna play with them as well. Carol's in, hello to you. Sally's in, she says good morning, Natalie and everyone, hope you had a good weekend. Oh, it's wet in Torbay. Mina says it's warmer today. She's got a maxi dress on too, and it's an office day. Good morning to Anne. Oh, Rachel's allergic to stainless steel. Oh yeah. Oh, well, you need surgical steel then, my lovely. You can. I mean, you could still, if you wanted, just buy the hearts, and you can use the pins and everything else, and just change the chain. If you want to get one of these kits, you could just take out the chain, or you could just buy the components individually if you want to, of course. Good morning to Helen. How are you? Should wish I'd hung on before ordering this morning. Why? What's different? What's different, Helen? I think it was probably a little bit later going on today. When I got my laptop on this morning, I was like, where's the make? So I think, I don't know, Simon's been holding out, putting it up maybe. Good morning to Angela, who says it's not raining, yippee. Okay, Mina says, are you wanting more kits? And she's hoping Camilla's okay. Yeah, I am with you, Camille. It's your work, so you need them. I know, but they're like hundreds of pounds. And I'm like, I need new cutters. I could do with new round nose. I just want them all. There's different brands and things you can get. I use, I've got some little basic trusty ones, and I've been working officially for Totally Beads now, I think for 3 years, and I use these all the time, constantly, and they are, I mean, some of them have seen better days, but they still work. I'm missing parts of handles and stuff on them, but they do still work. If I'm doing wire work and I want something a bit more intricate, I tend to use Xuron pliers, which I absolutely love, and I don't find them too pricey. But yeah, I'm just in a spending mood, to be honest, so best maybe not have a look on the website, because I keep going on and Totally Beads and going, ooh, I've not seen them before, and ooh, I might get, yeah. Anyway, let me take you down on the mat. We can start making. It's a pretty straightforward and quick make today. As I say, we're just going to be making these little links. So I'm just going to make my eye pin. You will have, I think, the 30mm, they're the smaller ones in your kit. We're just going to make them into double connectors by turning a little loop at the end so it's matching. And because I'm using smaller ones, I don't really think I need to cut these down too much. For the ball pins in your kit, these will be 50mm, which means I'm going to be able to have that extra length to turn a little wrap loop, and I'm just going to turn little wrap loops onto those. If you don't want to do wrap loops though, you can always just turn a straightforward kind of pin like you would with this bit. So, you know, you can change it up to suit you. You can see I've got the lovely kind of Prussian blue. I've got these kind of French grey ones. These, they weren't called lilac, were they? They were called indigo blue ones. I've got the light orchid here, and then at the very bottom is that pale olive colour. There is a slight delay on my camera, so we'll see how we go. So I'm just going to use 5 links. So again, you can do this in whatever order you want. I make my components up first, so I'll make 5 of these little links going across and make them kind of connectable on both ends. Then I'll do my little wrapped hearts loops, and then I'll just assemble it all together. So let's get going. Oh, Camille, I don't have one. Right, okay, so I'm going to start off with my pins. I'm going to use 5 of those, so I'm just going to get them out. You can see a difference with a ball pin or even a head pin is they've got, oh, Facebook's cut off. The joy. Let's see if I can go back into the settings. Unable to connect. Let's see if I can close it off and put it back on again. I don't know. It's not playing, I'm afraid. Oh, let's see. An error occurred. Yeah, I'm off Facebook and I don't know why. Come find me on YouTube. Okay, so with your ball pin or even like a head pin, it's got like, your head pin's got like a little flat nail tip finish. The ball pin, I love a ball pin because it's got this tiny little ball which I just think looks like another small little bead, and I just like the way that kind of gives that little finish to it. With your eye pin, of course, it's shaped like a letter I, so it's got that loop already on it. When making my connecting loops, I'm going to add 6 pearls on. So you're probably going to get a full strand of your 3mm pearls, and you can add more or less on if you want to. But I find if I take 6 of my pearls, let's just pop them out the way, it's really straightforward to just thread them on. Directly to my pin. And then I'm just going to turn a loop at the end. Now, to turn my loop, what I do first is I bend at a 90-degree angle. Now, I want my loops to be facing in the same direction. You can twist and turn them slightly if you want to, but I'm going to just make sure that my loop is facing upwards. And then if I bend it in that direction, when I turn that loop, it will be sitting in the same direction as that one. I leave a centimetre of my pin, so I've got around the same size loop. If you want to be exact, you can pop your round nose pliers into the loop that's already done, and you can mark it with a pen, or you can just take a little mental note about where you're going to be turning this other end of the pin, so you're going to have the same size loop. Because I'm using the shorter eye pins, I don't need to trim this. This to me looks like the perfect size. So I'm going to put it in that position on the pliers, and then I'm just going to make sure it's nice and flush on the other side so it's not sticking out. If I've got a little bit of pin sticking out of the round nose pliers, what will happen is it won't fully turn. I'll have a little straight bit. So I'm making it nice and flush. If I want a bigger loop, I'm going to go towards the handle. If I want a smaller loop, I'm going towards the end because it's tapered. So I'm putting it in position. I'm going to hold that bead down with my thumb and I'm going to give it a little flick, and then I'm going to reposition my hand and just do tiny little turns, and that's going to make my pin. If you need to readjust, as I say, if it's not quite straight, then you can readjust it by giving it a twist in the direction it needs to. But by turning it up that way, it should be a nice full close centered little loop, so they're sitting in the right direction. So I flick up first and then I reposition my wrist. So I'll flick up so my knuckles are facing towards me, and then I reposition my hand so I can do those tiny little movements all the way around, so I'm not putting too much pressure on my wrist. And I'm just going to repeat that so I've got 5 of my pins. So take my next pin, pop on my 6 beads, and although we've got dainty little pearls, that drill hole is again a really nice size. You'll be able to get that on no problem. There may sometimes be a little bit of the paint and the coating of the colour over the pearl. Just give it a little wiggle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they should be. I'm going to take that one off because I'm going to say they all should be drilled fairly centrally, so they will sit nice and neat. But that pearl is slightly deformed in shape. It's not fully round, so I'm just going to replace it with another one. So add on my pearls. So this is a really simple kind of turned loop. It's not a wrapped loop, but that means I can open and close both ends if I need to. I'm just going to be opening up the jump ring, to be honest, to attach them. But if you do a turned loop like this, then you're going to be able to open and close that just by flicking it up with your pliers. So you can see by making sure I've faced that loop up, both are facing in the right direction or the same direction. Good morning, Lisa. Hope you're well. Good morning to Mel. Or rather, good evening to Mel. A bit wet here in Australia. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me. Who else have we got in? We've got Elizabeth. Good morning to you. I'm so sorry, Carol. Facebook's crashed again. So thank you so much for joining me on YouTube, though. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the settings. We are trying to persevere. It is, I think, the platform that we stream on, but also it's not necessarily the platform. It's Facebook. I woke up this morning to about 70 missed messages. I've not got any of my notifications on there either on Messenger. So if anyone has messaged me and it looks like I've ignored you, then I apologise. Okay, so 6 pearls on. I'm going to make sure my loop is facing upwards so I can give it a little bit of a turn. So I turn it at a 90-degree angle, very close up to the top of that pearl, so there's not a big gap. If I'm making a wrap loop, then I like to have a little bit of a space to fill with the wire. But as we're just turning it, I'm turning it away from me, getting it nice and flush in my pliers at the point that I want to turn that, holding it down, flicking it up, and dainty little turns all the way around just to make my loop sit straight at the top. You can readjust as well, but what we want is we want that loop to sit at the top rather than kind of on the side like a little P. So that is 3, 2 more to go. So if you're just joining us, we are doing the Cordelia heart necklaces and just wrapping doing some little wrap loops, making some double connectors, and just attaching them together to make a nice, delicate, straightforward, simple little necklace. Perfect summer wear and very comfortable too. So I've got my 4 pearls there, 5 rather, adding on 6, so they will be all the same length. Turn the pin to a 90-degree angle, and I just find if I turn it first and then I cut it if it needs cutting, then I've got that loop really nice and rounded and fully closed as well. If you need to close it again, just go back in a little bit more. I don't want to see OneDrive memories. What's going on? Notifications popping up. So don't get any notifications, and then when I'm in the middle of the live, it goes mad. So again, adding on my 6 pearls. So just threading them on through the pin. And then the last one, I'm going to check my loop is that way. So when I bend my pin close to that pearl, all the pearls will be sitting nicely together, no big gaps. Make sure it's flush, flick up and turn all the way around. So I've got my 5 pins. Let me just check that's sitting straight. If it needs adjusting, I'm going to pop pliers onto both ends and give it a little twist. So I've got my 5 pins there. And now I'm going to add my little wrap loop hearts. Now I'm going to do this on my ball pins, and I only need 4 of these. So if they're a little bit bent and wobbly, don't worry too much. It's a lovely kind of soft metal, so you can straighten them out just by running it through your fingers or with your nylon pliers if you've got some. And then you can, because it's nice and soft, you can wrap that quite easily. So I'm going to start off by popping my little pearl on the bottom. And then I'm going to add on my gorgeous little heart. So the drill hole in the heart runs from top to bottom, so it comes in between those kind of 2 little curves on the heart and out the bottom little point there. I'm going to pop it on up the bottom, out through the top that way. Could turn them the other way if you wanted. And then I'm just going to make my wrap loop. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers again. You could use your veil step pliers if you want to make sure, they're all absolutely perfectly turned the same size, or you can just, again, make a little note on your round nose pliers. So I'm positioning my pliers at the top and I'm bending that pin over the top of my plier. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a tiny little space between the heart and the bend this time. I'm then going to reposition my pliers. So my pliers are sitting, hard to do this underneath the camera. So my pliers will be sitting above and below that bend. Don't worry, this will turn and flip, that's absolutely okay. And then gonna bring the pin all the way over, reposition again, so we're going to the side of that pin, and that's gonna allow me a little bit of room just to bring that wire through. So it's going to go like this, and I've got that little loop. I then swap hands, so it's going to go in my less dominant hand, and you can do this with your fingers because the pin is nice and malleable to move. But if you take your chain nose pliers and just take the end. I'm just going to wrap it. So I lift it slightly up, and that means that each time I create that little wrap, just doing a half turn, so around the back, and then reposition my hand to bring it round the front. Those wraps are just going to sit neatly underneath the last one. So I'm going to wrap about 3 times. If I hold that up close, you can see each of those wraps just sit nice and neatly underneath the last one. And it's just filling that space between the half bead, which has got movement on it, and that little loop. I'm then going to pick up my cutters, and I'm going to come and I'm going to trim as close as I can get to that wrap. And then I tend to pop it back into my round nose, and it's just to give me a little bit of purchase. I'm then going to take a pair of pliers. You can use chain nose. I'm using needle nose just to let myself get right in. I'm not putting any pressure on the heart. I'm just tucking that little wire end in. And I'm going to make 4 of those. So I'm going to take my ball pin, straighten it up if it needs to be straightened. I'm going to slide on my pearl. I'm going to take my heart and pop that on top. I'm going to get my round nose pliers, and I'm going to position, and I'm just going about here on the round nose. I'm going to bend it over to that 90-degree angle, reposition my pliers to bring it over, back positioning my pliers. So my pliers are staying in at all times. I'm just moving them out the way, so I've got that space between the heart and the loop. I was going to do it with my fingers, but we've got the tools, so use them. Swap it into the other hand. So what I do is, you see, I first lift this tail end up slightly, and that's just going to mean when I bring it round, it's nice and close on that loop. Half little turns, so I've wrapped once, around the back, and over the front is a second. So you can see that wrap is just sitting underneath the last one, and all the way around again to the top of that heart. You can reposition if you need to, just with your round nose pliers, just to straighten it up. Coming with the cutters, I'm going to cut nice and close, but not cutting the loop, I'm not cutting the heart. I'm holding on to that wire as well when I cut it, just to make sure it doesn't fire off. I put it back into the round nose just to give myself a little bit of purchase, and you'll see there's that tiny little tail end there. So all I'm going to do is just tuck that in. And you know you've got that spinning heart as well, so you can move it out the way if you feel, you know, you just need to get it in a little bit closer. So I'm just turning it around and tucking it in, making sure there's no sharp bits sticking out, and I've got that tail end fully tucked in. I can reposition and straighten that little loop if I need to. Julie said, can you turn a normal loop instead of a wrap loop? I'm rubbish at wrap loops. Absolutely, Julie. Yeah, you can just do a turned loop with these if you want to. I just wanted to show you 2 techniques. So you've got your normal turned loops on the eye pins, and I'm demonstrating the wrap loop on the ball pins. But of course, if you just want to turn a loop with that as well, you can do. Just make sure that you turn it fully and it's fully closed, because you don't want it to fall off that jump ring when we put them all together at the end. But have a little go with your wrap loops. It is just practice. I find that when I'm turning a loop just like this, when I'm stopping and explaining it, it never sits quite straight as if I just do it quickly, like my hands are in a particular rhythm with it, and the slower I go to break it down, for me, the less neat they come out. But again, it's just practice. But if you don't want to do the wrap loop, you definitely don't have to do it. So I'm going to just make sure that I've got a tiny little space, and then my loops should end up being pretty much the same size. Reposition my hand, so my pliers are now above and below, all the way round. Reposition again so they are kind of horizontal, just so I can turn that pin. So I've got that little loop just there. Sometimes you can cover that loop with a pair of pliers if you don't want to keep your round nose in. And all I'm doing is just putting a little bit of pressure across the top of that loop. And then it's going to make sure that that loop stays in position. But if that's easier for you to do it that way, then of course, do whatever works for you. So I'm just wrapping round, making sure that each time that wrap comes below. So I've got the 3 wraps there. I will need to give it a little turn in a moment. I'm going to turn it so my heart's moved out of the way so I can get really nice and close, holding on to that end so it doesn't fire away. Again, you can hold it with your pliers if you need to give yourself a little bit of purchase, or put just to give yourself more grip on it. And then with your other pliers, so whether you're using the rounders, and just turn it round. So either turn your heart round or turn the actual component round. Again, I've got a lamp right under my face, so I'm struggling to see what I'm doing. I don't want to put too much pressure on that heart. I don't want to touch the heart if I can help it, because I don't want to crack it. All I'm doing is just trying to get that little end of the wire and tuck that wire in. I'm actually just going to smush it up a bit, and then that tail end will be a bit closer. So I find it easier personally to keep it in the round nose at that point. I'm going to hold it up to my face because I want to tuck that in a little bit more. So I don't know if I am fully in shot there. As I say, I've got the lamp right under my eyes at the moment. That's better. Yeah. And then one more, because I only need 4 for this design. But of course, if you want to make that a little bit longer, you want to add extras in, you can do. I do think they would make sweet little like charm bracelets too, if you wanted to, instead of make a necklace with one, you want to make yourself a little matching suite of jewellery. And of course, you could just pop them on to a pair of ear wires as well. So you could, if you didn't want to make 3 necklaces, you could make a necklace, a pair of earrings and a bracelet. You'll have plenty in your kit to do so. So one more wrap loop. I'm going to bend it over the top, just bending it with my fingers because it's easy enough to do so. It's nice and soft, that wire. I'm going to bring it all the way around, reposition, create that little loop. You can tilt it now if you want, just to make sure that your loop is sitting right directly at the top of that heart. Pair of pliers, I've just knocked it slightly up that wire, and that's just going to give me the space to bring it round so that first wrap is nice and close to the bottom of the loop. Doing little half turns all the way round again. I wrap 3 times. 2 will be sufficient. You just want to make sure you're filling the space between the heart and the loop. Come in close with the pliers to cut off the little tail end, and then make sure that you tuck in that tiny bit of wire that you've just cut. Because if this is sitting against your skin, we don't want anything sharp and scratching or snagging on any of your clothes. So that is as difficult as it gets. It's just a case now of kind of compiling what you've made and positioning it how you want to. So you should have 4 of your little hearts. I'm just going to lay them all out and check that I'm happy with how they are. And then I should have 5 of my links, which will go in between them. So I'm going to pick up my jump ring. My jump ring here is a 5x1 outer diameter, so a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to open it up. So I'm just going to give it a little turn towards me. I only need to open it up by, a millimetre or so. And then I'm going to get my chain. Now, I've made sure that you've got about 40 centimetres in the chain for each necklace. So I've cut these already, so they should be the same length, and they should be about 20 centimetres each. If you want your necklace to sit higher up, then of course you can cut a shorter length of chain. But all I've done is I've cut through, taken off that link, so that link's not going to be compromised, rather in kind of like its strength and stability, because I don't think there is any openings on this. I think they're fully closed, which means I've got a really nice strong necklace. So I'm going to take my chain, pick up the jump ring that I've just opened, and I'm going to slide it on to that last link on the chain. And then going to pick up my connecting loop, and I'm sliding that on. So I don't need to open up the links that I've made on there, the loops rather, on the links. I'm just going to open and close the jump ring. So close the jump ring up, making sure it's fully closed. You might want to take it slightly past the point where the 2 ends meet, and then it should spring back fully closed. That way the chain is not going to slip out, and my link's not going to slip out. Now, when you've got a wrapped loop, that's fully closed, so nothing is going to fall out of that. It's not going to open up. It's a fully wrapped loop. I'm then going to pick up another jump ring, and I'm going to give that a little turn towards me to open. I'm going to slide that on to that link there too. I'm going to open it up a little bit more. The pliers are just in the way, that's all. I'm then going to add on my heart and then the next link. So inside that one jump ring, I've got 2 different links and my heart in the middle. And then I'm going to close that up, again making sure it's fully closed. And then on with the neck. So it's just a case of piecing that together. So opening up my jump ring, give it a little turn towards me, just to open up a little bit. Through the loop, add on my heart into the centre, and through the next connecting loop. So I find it easier to make all my components first and then put it together. Now, when I've closed this back, it's not fully closed, there's a little gap. So I'm just going to give it a little wiggle just to draw that in to close it up a little bit better. And then with the next one. So you'll be using 8 jump rings in total on this piece. You've got the option, if you want to make them longer or smaller, you can add in extra. On with the next loop and the next heart, adding on the next connector. Just taking the ends of the jump ring in my pliers, Ooh, lovely little click. I know that's fully closed. So it's looking like this. And then adding on my last heart. So you can see this one, when I've got it out the pack, it's got a slight overlap with it where it's been cut. So when I give it a little turn, when I add that on, I might need to give it a slight twist just to level it up a bit. Making sure it's fully closed. And then I just need to attach the other end of my chain. So I'm going to take another jump ring, open it up, slide onto my connecting loop, slide that onto the last link of my chain. Although your jump rings are 1 millimeter in thickness, so they're nice and sturdy and chunky, they should still fit through the links in the chain with absolute ease. And then I'm just going to attach my clasp. So in your kit, you'll have a 12 millimeter lobster clasp. You could add a different one to that if you wanted to, if you've got one in your stash. You could also add a little extension chain. If you do add an extension chain, the extension chain will just extend your necklace. So if you could even make one with jump rings. But what I do think would be a nice finish is just to dangle on the back of that one of your little hearts as well, if you want to. And say you've got enough in your kit to make 3 necklaces. So if you want to take one of them out, you can, have that just dangling at the back, which I think will be a nice little detail. Again, I've added 4 of the hearts into this one. Like so. But again, if you want to add that 6th one, then that will be, one heart would be your center point. So you might prefer it to hang like that. You can do whatever you prefer. So to attach my clasp, I'm just going to again add that jump ring onto the last link of my chain. And close that over. Not fully closed again, so I'm just gonna reopen it, give it a little wiggle just so I can feel those 2 ends meeting, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side of the chain, only I'm going to add that lobster clasp, which is 12 millimeters. So making sure it's through that last link. Adding on the lobster clasp and giving that a little close over as well. So I can now open and close my lobster with ease. Now my necklace will look like this. I say I've only used the 4, so you could add extra if you wanted. You can curve this too. So if you wanted to put a little bit of curve and shape in it, it's literally just a case of with the finger just pushing, and that will, curve those pins to the shape of your kind of neckline. Just a little bit of pressure on that pin if you want to add that little curve to it to give it kind of like a scooped look. Eve says, hi, how do we choose the proper jump rings when shopping on the internet? There are so many varieties that I don't know what I will receive. Any tips? It depends on what you're doing with them, Eve. You can do, if you're doing chain mail, then you tend to need like a certain ratio with them. On Totally Beads, we measure ours by their outer diameter. So what that means is it will be the size of the jump ring from this point to this point, and then your wire gauge. So this one is 6mm outer diameter, kind of circumference all the way around. And then the wire gauge will be 1mm, so that's a 6x1. These ones I've used today in the rhodium colour. You can see they're a tiny bit smaller, so they're 5x1. That's your outer diameter. A lot of websites will use ID, which is your inner diameter, which is this space from here to here. I personally, when I'm using jump rings for connectors for clasps or anything like this, I tend to use a 6x1. That's my go-to, but it does depend on what it is you're making. If you use, I do apologise, I was just going to see if I had, I don't have one to hand at the moment. Oh, wait a minute, do I? I'm just getting up and having a little rummage through things that I've made, because I want to show you the difference between the different looks, obviously, you get with different jump rings. So if I was to show you this little bracelet, which is something I've made, you'll see I've done like a very basic kind of Byzantine weave with that, and that's got the larger jump ring, so that's your outer diameter 6. If you use smaller jump rings, then you just get different effects. So it really depends. This is just a really simple 2-on-2 little sapphire bracelet, and then I've just added larger jump rings onto in between there. So it depends on what you're making, and it can be a little bit of a minefield, but if you're buying your kits from us at Totally Beads, all of those things are included in there for you, so you don't have to figure it out. It's all done. Laura does the most beautiful chainmail pieces. I do little bits, but I would say Laura's specialty is chainmail, and she's got a really good knowledge about what's in a diameter, what ratios work together, how they'll sit and how they'll lock in place. So if you ever buy a kit from us at Totally Beads, all of those materials are included for you. All you need to do is just follow along with the video. But if you've got any questions, then do Eve just pop us a message. Either myself or Laura or anyone in the team will be happy to kind of help you if we can. But I do appreciate there's lots of choice out there, and it just depends on what it is that you're making. Mel says, awesome, thank you. You're very, very welcome. I hope you enjoyed it today. Thank you so much for watching with me. I will, in fact, where have I just put the necklace I've made? Should I put some up to my neckline so you can see how they look? Ooh. So you can see they will just sit really prettily along. You can make them sit higher, lower by changing that chain. Again, if you want to add that extra one in, you could have it dangling from the center. You might want to add more in and have them going all the way around, but they're just sweet, delicate and dainty. And again, you can add those kind of curves in as well, and do whatever you want with them. They also make pretty bracelets. I'm going to be back with you on Friday, but I can't remember what I'm making. I've scheduled that much stuff for the next few weeks. I know we've got some earrings coming up. I know we've got a bracelet. I think I'm making a bracelet with you on Friday. Is it Monday already? The bracelets are something a little bit different, and I hope you can come and play along with me then. So I wish you all a wonderful week. I hope the sun is shining. If you're in Australia watching, then